Hey, it's me, Marty Yitram, the geeky American otaku, and you are in the Nerd Nest. I hope you all had a great spooky Halloween, everyone. Of course, we're now headed towards something even scarier, the presidential election. Anyway, I apologize that I haven't made too many videos lately. In fact, the last couple weeks I've been kind of sick. I had a really bad cold, so I didn't feel like making anything, obviously, especially since my voice was sore from coughing a lot. Anyway, it's time for another episode of 15-Minute Game Show Reviews. Well, this video is the result of another poll I did earlier. Actually, it was back in September. And this is another show that was great, but underrated, and was only a moderate success in America. But it did really well overseas, in particular in merry old England. What's B for an early 1980s game of knowledge and strategy hosted by a game show legend, and it also sounds like the name of a video store that we all miss? The answer is Blockbusters.
This is the battlefield for our game of speed and strategy. These are the letters which lead to victory on Blockbusters. And here's the star of Blockbusters, Bill Cullen.
Hi there, players. What a nice bunch. Thank you. Thank you all very much, and welcome to Blockbusters. We are very happy to have all of you with us. Blockbusters is a brand new Goodson Todman game show that I think you'll enjoy. Now, on Blockbusters, a solo player competes against a family pair, and that's to see if two heads are really better than one.
Another great game show from legendary producers Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. Blockbusters was a game that required strategy and knowledge, and it put to test the old adage of, are two heads really better than one? And it could pay off in thousands of dollars in cash. Blockbusters originally premiered on NBC on October 27th, 1980, and it ended on April 23rd, 1982. A revival ran from January 5th to May 1st, 1987, again on NBC. Despite its short runs in the United States, it was sold overseas and did well in other countries, in particular the United Kingdom, where it ran for 12 consecutive years from 1983 to 95, and saw revivals again in 1997, 2000, 2012, and most recently in 2019. The first host was the legendary Bill Cullen. Born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1920, Bill survived a childhood bout with polio that left him with physical limitations for the rest of his life. He was a pre-med student at the University of Pittsburgh, but dropped out due to financial issues. After finding some success in radio, he went back to college and got a bachelor's degree. His broadcasting career began in 1939 when he was a DJ at WWSW, now sports station WBGG, where he was also a color commentator for Pittsburgh Steelers football games. In 1943, he briefly went to Pittsburgh's KDKA radio before moving to New York City, and just a week after arriving, was hired as a staff announcer at CBS. To supplement his then meager income, he became a freelance joke writer for some of the top radio stars of the day, including Arthur Godfrey, Danny Kaye, and Jack Benny. Well, his first venture into game shows was in 1945, when he was hired as an announcer for a radio quiz called Give and Take. In the summer of 1950, he was quizmaster on Hit the Jackpot, the summer replacement for Amos and Andy on CBS Radio. After a brief stint at WNEW in 1951, he hosted a popular morning show at WNBC Radio from 1955 to 1961. Cullen's first television game show was Winner Take All, which moved over from radio in 1948, and Bill would host it in 1952, beginning a long association with its producers, Goodson Todman Productions. Other early game shows that he hosted included Bank on the Stars, Place the Face, and the original Name That Tune on CBS from 1953 to 1959. In 1956, he became a household name when NBC premiered Goodson Todman's original version of The Price is Right. The show was one of the few to survive the quiz show scandals of the 1950s unscathed, and it became more popular after other shows were canceled when they were learned to be rigged. The show moved over to ABC in 1963, running for 2 more years. Of course, the show came back in 1972, but because of the overhaul in the show's format, Bill's physical limitations prevented him from hosting, and the job went to Bob Barker, who hosted it for 35 years. The show's current host, Drew Carey, has mentioned Bill now and then. Bill was also a panelist on the original I've Got a Secret and the 1969-78 revival of To Tell the Truth, sometimes subbing as host. Other game shows he hosted throughout his career include I Guess, 3 on a Match, the $25,000 Pyramid in the 1970s, while Dick Clark hosted the daytime version, Password Plus for 6 weeks in 1980, filling in for Alan Ludden, Child's Play, Chain Reaction, Hot Potato, and his last series, The Joker's Wild, taking over from the show's original host and creator, Jack Barry, after he died of a heart attack in 1984. Bill hosted a record 23 game shows, earning him the nickname the Dean of Game Shows. He also appeared as a panelist on many game shows, too many to name here. Bill Cullen passed away in 1990 at the age of 70 from lung cancer, as he was a lifelong smoker, but his influence in the game show industry endures. The host of the second version was Bill Rafferty. Born in New York in 1944, but spending most of his adult life in and around the San Francisco Bay Area, Bill was originally a military policeman in the U.S. Army, and he was also a butcher. Bill Rafferty first appeared on television in the 1970s on NBC's hit comedy variety series Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. His first national TV exposure was as a co-host on the NBC reality series Real People, which ran from 1979 to 1984. Known for his wit and impression skills, Bill's first game show hosting gig was the short-lived 1984-85 syndicated series Every Second Counts, which was another series that did well overseas. He also hosted the syndicated version of Card Sharks from 1986 to 87, which supplemented the CBS daytime version hosted by Bob Eubanks. He also hosted the series Retired and Wired on the now-defunct Retirement Living TV in the late 2000s. Bill Rafferty passed away in 2012 from congestive heart failure at the age of 68. The announcer on the original version was veteran announcer Bob Hilton, while the announcer on the 1987 version was Rich Jeffries. On the original 1980 version, 3 contestants played in each game, with a solo contestant playing against a team of 2 related contestants referred to as the family pair, though they were never married couples. The show had returning champions. I'll explain that part in a bit. The solo contestant played from behind a red desk, while the family pair played from behind a white one. The game was played on a board that consisted of 20 hexagons, 4 interlocking rows made up of 5 hexagons each. Within each hexagon was a different letter of the alphabet, which represented the first letter of the correct answer to a general knowledge question. Here's an example.
What bee was the nickname of Theodore Cleaver? Yes, Cindy.
Beaver.
You're right. Beaver's it. I didn't know that.
The contestants tried to complete a connection of hexagons to win each round, in red from top to bottom for the solo player, and in white from left to right for the family pair. The solo player had the advantage of being able to win in as few as 4 correct answers, while the family pair needed at least 5. Due to the game board's design, there was no way to end the game in a tie. In addition, the 2 members of the family pair were not allowed to discuss questions at any time, and all questions had 1-word answers. Each game started with a letter chosen at random. The first contestant to buzz in was given a chance to answer. If a contestant did so before Bill finished the question, he stopped reading, and the contestant had to answer right away. A correct answer turned that hexagon into their color and allowed them to choose the next letter, while a miss gave the opposing team a chance to hear the entire question and try to steal. If the solo contestant missed, only 1 member of the family pair could attempt to answer. If both teams missed the same question, Bill would give the answer and a new one was asked using the same letter. Originally, winning the round earned the team no money, but allowed the winner to play the bonus round for $2,500, upon which they would face the same opponent again. A second win by the same winner allowed a return trip to the bonus round for an additional $5,000. Later, each round earned the winning team $500, and the game became a best 2 out of 3 match. Winning the match won $1,000, eliminated the losing side, that they kept whatever money they won, if any, and the winner played the bonus round for $5,000. If the family pair advanced to the bonus round, the captain decided which member would play. The bonus round was called Gold Rush for the first 19 weeks, then later changed to the more familiar Gold Run, but was played the same. The same board layout was used, with the left and right sides now colored gold, and the object was to complete a path across the board within 60 seconds. Each hexagon now contained up to 5 letters, standing for the initial letters in the solution to a clue. Here's an example.
A-W-T-E-W.
Shakespeare play with an optimistic title.
All's well that ends well.
Right.
I hope it does. W-S.
A correct response would turn the hexagon gold, while a miss or a pass turned the hexagon black, blocking their path and forcing the contestant to work around it. Contestants earned $100 per correct answer if they failed to win the bonus. In some cases, a player could make too many mistakes, making it impossible to win. But if they were successful, they won a cash bonus. Originally, the winner played Gold Rush after winning a game, and the first trip was worth $2,500. If the same winner won 2 games, it became Super Gold Rush, and the jackpot was doubled to $5,000. When the format changed to a best 2 out of 3 match with $500 awarded per game, the bonus round was played only after the match, and it was always worth $5,000. So the champion could win a total of $6,000 for one match. From the show's premiere until the change in the front game format, champions retired from the show after winning 8 matches. The limit was raised to 10 matches after the change, and then later again to 20. Following the second increase, several previously undefeated 10-time champions were invited to compete again on the show. And due to NBC having no winnings limits on their game shows, many of the past champions did win another 10 games and retired with a total of $120,000 in cash. A lot of money in the early 80s. Still a lot now. Now here's the changes made to the show on Bill Rafferty's version in 1987. For the most part, it was still played the same way, but now with a computer-generated board. Also, most notably, the solo versus family pair dynamic was changed to just 2 solo players, with the champion playing white and the challenger playing red. Again, the game was a best 2 out of 3 match, with the advantage alternating between contestants in the first 2 games, meaning that in round 2, the white player only had to answer 4 questions to win the game, and the red player needed 5. If a third round was needed, the board was reduced to a 4x4 field of 16 hexagons, and neither player had the advantage. Each win was now only worth $100. Champions stayed on until they won 10 matches or were defeated, whatever came first. Gold Run was played the same as before. Originally, the prize was again a flat $5,000, but partway through the run, it became a progressive jackpot starting at $5,000 and increasing by that much each time it went unclaimed. But unlike on Super Password or Scrabble, if a champion was defeated, the jackpot was reset to $5,000 if a new champion was crowned. And that's how Blockbusters was played. Now we grade it. Blockbusters premiered on October 27, 1980, when NBC canceled David Letterman's ill-fated morning talk show after 6 months and decided to return to a more traditional morning lineup of game shows. And it lasted more than a year and a half, ending on April 23, 1982. NBC would bring it back in January of 1987, where it only ran for 5 months, serving as placeholder until the already approved Classic Concentration starring Alex Trebek premiered. And that show would run for 4 years. Blockbusters was another good show that wasn't too successful in the United States, but was a phenomenon overseas. Some of the countries that imported Blockbusters include, but are not limited to, Australia, France, Germany, Indonesia, Israel, Italy, the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, and most successfully in the United Kingdom, where it had 6 different runs from 1983 until 2019, with the first run being the longest, hosted by the late Bob Holness, where it became a staple of British pop culture, and the phrasing that the contestants would use to ask for a letter has entered the lexicon and is still used to this day. The British version of the show also had its share of bloopers, such as this one seen here.
O is the generic word for any living animal or plant, including bacteria and viruses.
Orgasm. Oh.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the show itself had a solid format. It was a general knowledge quiz where the only clue was the first letter of the answer. And this game required strategy when the contestant picked the hexagon that they needed to create a path to win and block out their opponents. So timing with the buzzer was also key. I also like the concept of having two players play against a solo player, testing to see if two heads really were better than one. Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. In fact, according to Bill Cullen on the final episode in 1982, the results were about split, even with the handicap the family pair was given. The bonus round was fun too. It was also challenging that they had to connect 5 gold hexagons from end to end in just 60 seconds, and having to work around a block caused by a wrong answer added an extra challenge. There was also the extra work of having to guess answers with more than one word, but a payoff of $5,000 made it worth the effort. The 1987 revival was good, but it did take away the 2v1 hook that the first series had. However, I did like how they switched the advantage between players in the second round and used a smaller board for the tiebreaker to speed the game up. I also liked the progressive jackpot idea for the gold run, except that it would reset if a new champion replaced a defeated winner. That was kind of lame. As for the hosts, Bill Cullen showed why he truly was the master of his craft. He could make any game show work, regardless of its format, as he was able to learn how it worked, and he was able to run with it. He was able to converse with the contestants and had the perfect leadership, ability, and sense of humor that made him the OG game show master. So much, in fact, that he received his first Daytime Emmy nomination for Outstanding Game Show Host in 1982, after the show ended. Bill Rafferty did a great job with his version as well. He also had a good sense of humor and charisma, and, much like the late Peter Tamarkin, was another good, underrated game show host that deserved more recognition. Coincidentally, he coined the phrase dual implication while hosting Blockbusters, which meant that either of the contestants could win the game with the next correct answer, as well as the land of parting gifts, where the losing contestant ended up going. He used that phrase on his version of Card Sharks as well. Anyway, Blockbusters was another great show with two great hosts where knowledge, speed, and strategy can lead to big money, and it gets a solid A. Now the part where I'd talk about how I'd revive the show if I was given the chance. The show would be played the same as the original 1980-82 version, with a solo contestant against a team, but unlike before, it wouldn't be limited to family members. The game would again be the best 2 out of 3, but if a third round was needed, the players would face a 4x4 board to speed the gameplay up, or maybe even a 3x3 board. Each game would be worth $2,000. The gold run is played the same as before, with $500 awarded for each correct answer if the player doesn't win, and if they are successful, $25,000. Champions could stay on for up to 10 shows. As for the host, I'd go with either Todd Newton, Mayim Bialik, or Frank Nicotero. The announcers could either be Gary Kroger, Burton Richardson, or Rich Fields. Anyway, that's my most recent episode of 15-Minute Game Show Reviews. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to follow me on Space Hay. Smash that like button. Come on, baby. Anyway, I've got more videos coming soon, including a new Let's Play. Until then, I'm Marty Yitram, the Geeky American Otaku, and I am logging out of the Nerd Nest.